Picture this. You're standing before a dusty jar in a hidden cave, and inside are scrolls that claim to map your soul's journey after death. Sounds like movie magic, right? But these aren't fantasy. They're real documents buried for centuries. Texts that orthodox scholars once tried to erase, now whispering secrets about what happens when we die. You're in the perfect spot, if you've ever felt that itch to know where we go, or why so many cultures share uncanny afterlife visions. Your curiosity about the afterlife is not just valid, it's crucial. In the next few minutes, we're diving headfirst into ancient Egyptian judgment halls, Gnostic sky chariots, and even modern near-death research that's turning skeptics into believers. Trust me, you'll never look at life's final frontier the same way again. Ready to crack open the world's best-kept afterlife files? Let's go. What's up, everyone? You're in the right place if you've ever wondered what happens when we take that final breath. Today, we've got a three-part deep dive. First, we'll unseal ancient scrolls and secret codices that civilizations tried to bury forever. Next, we'll look at the hard evidence, archaeological finds, and near-death studies that give science a seat at this table. And finally, we'll see how modern thinkers are remixing these age-old clues into brand new beliefs. So here's the question we're chasing. Where does the soul go after we die? Let's kick things off by traveling back thousands of years. Picture a sprawling ancient world. At one end, in Egypt around 1550 BCE, priests painstakingly inked the papyrus of Ani, mapping 42 gates where your heart is weighed against a feather, pass or eternal erasure. Shift east to Mesopotamia, where Sumerians saw every soul, peasant or king, descend into a dim underworld called Kur, a dusty pit of shadows with no return ticket. Head further east, the Vedic poets of India, 1500-500 BCE, were composing hymns about samsara, the endless wheel of rebirth driven by karma, your deeds, literally scripting your next life. Finally, in ancient China, diviners etched oracle bones, c. 1000 BCE, that hint at Huangquan, the Yellow Springs, and established ancestor rituals, so the living could guide souls across that river. These weren't bedtime stories. They were blueprints to keep societies and souls on the right track. Ready to see what they tried to hide from history? Let's dig into the secret records next. Imagine you're a Coptic farmer in December 1945, digging for fertilizer along the Nile's edge. Your pickaxe clinks against something unexpected, an earthenware jar sealed tight for 1,600 years. Inside, 13 leather-bound codices were written in Gnostic script, challenging everything the church taught about the afterlife. Fast forward to the high Himalayas, where Buddhist monks whispered the Bardo Thödol for centuries, convinced only select disciples could handle its visions of mind-bending realms. And let's not forget the Hermetica, texts ascribed to the god-teacher Hermes, locked away by early Christian leaders who feared their alchemical and soul alchemy secrets. Each discovery reads like Indiana Jones meets Dan Brown, hidden in caves, smuggled through monasteries, and nearly destroyed by zealots. But thanks to daring scholars and accidental heroes, these secret scrolls are now ours to decode, and they paint a radically different roadmap for the soul than any mainstream text ever dared to show. First, let's walk the Egyptian path. You enter the Duat, the underworld, passing through 42 sealed gates. At each gate, you recite a truth. I have not stolen. I have not lied. Finally, your heart is placed on a scale opposite Ma'at's feather of truth. If you pass, you glide on a solar bark to Osiris's emerald throne. Now imagine the Tibetan Bardo. In the first few hours, your consciousness drifts through the Chikai Bardo, the moment of death. Over the next 49 days, you'll encounter peaceful deities that radiate boundless compassion and wrathful deities, reflecting unacknowledged fears. Your reactions here decide your rebirth. In Gnostic texts, the soul faces archons, celestial gatekeepers, each demanding the correct password. Whispering these secret names, you ascend jagged cosmic spheres, finally merging with the ineffable light of the pleroma. We see scales and feathers, rivers of crimson light, chariots that blaze like suns, and secret passwords that unlock cosmic gates. What if these blueprints across time and space aren't just coincidences, but clues to something more profound? Here's a close-up of the Papyrus of Ani, unearthed in the Theban necropolis in 1888. Its ochre-stained hieroglyphs, still crisp after over 3 millennia. In 2019, the Oxford Radiocarbon Accelerator Unit tested a tiny fragment and pinned its age to 132012, 70 BCE, plus lost 30 years, confirming it's one of our earliest soul guides. Dr. Salema Ikram, renowned Egyptologist at the American University in Cairo, calls this scene the most complete roadmap through the Duat we have ever found. Flip over to Nag Hammadi in 1945, and you'll see leather-bound Gnostic leaves coated in slippery river clay. Multispectral imaging later revealed erased passages describing 7 archons who blocked the soul's ascent. And high in Tibet, carbon tests on Pecha manuscripts place the oldest Bardo Thödol texts at say 8th and 9th century CE, aligning perfectly with the oral lineage monks have guarded for over 1,000 years. Each piece of pottery, papyrus, and parchment isn't just an artifact. It's a forensic footprint of belief. Next, we'll see how modern science, from brain scans to near-death trials, echoes these ancient maps in ways even skeptics can't ignore. So, what exactly is a near-death experience? Imagine your heart stops, yet your mind floods with a tunnel of light, a panoramic life review, and even the uncanny feeling of floating above your body. 2014 Dr. Sam Parnia's AWARE trial enrolled 206 heart arrest patients, and 39 described classic NDEs. Independent observers verified 2 reported details of hidden targets in the resuscitation room. But science doesn't stop there. At the University of Lausanne, Olaf Blanke applied tiny electrical currents to volunteers' temporal parietal junctions, and many suddenly felt themselves drifting out of their bodies, an induced out-of-body experience in a lab coat. Meanwhile, Michael Persinger's famous God helmet bathed participants' temporal lobes in weak magnetic fields, producing sensed presences or mystical chills. Biochemists point to oxygen deprivation and surges of natural hallucinogens, endorphins, or even DMT as the card-carrying culprits behind these vivid episodes. Critics, like Dr. Susan Blackmore, argue that these are just your brain's last fireworks, not proof of an immortal spark. Still, whether you chalk it up to soul flight or synaptic overload, notice how these modern findings mirror ancient afterlife roadmaps, tunnels, judges, otherworldly guides. Next, we'll compare these scientific snapshots with the secret scrolls we uncovered, see how the 2 worlds converge. Pause for a second. Do you see a pattern here? A light tunnel appears repeatedly across the Papyrus of Ani, Tibetan Thangka scrolls, and even modern NDI reports. At that tunnel's end, there's often a life review. The soul watches its own deeds, just like in Hindu karma texts and near-death experiments, where patients describe vivid movie-like retrospectives. Then come the gatekeepers, 42 judges in Egypt, archons blocking Gnostic ascent, and Yama, the Vedic judge weighing your merit, and always by your side, a guide, Anubis, a compassionate bodhisattva, or a guardian angel. Carl Jung would say these aren't copied stories, but archetypes rising from our collective unconscious. The same mental software everyone runs, no matter where you grow up. Evolutionary psychologists add that when facing death, our brains might default to comforting narratives, light at the end of the tunnel, moral accounting, and a benevolent escort. Whether etched in papyrus or mapped in MRI scans, these motifs reveal something universal about how we process mortality. Next, we'll see how today's spiritual movements and digital archives are weaving these timeless patterns into fresh perspectives. Stay tuned. Fast forward to 1875, where Helena Blavatsky's Theosophical Society dusted off Hermetic fragments and Eastern sutras, weaving them into The Secret Doctrine, a best-selling manifesto that painted reincarnation, soul journeys, and cosmic hierarchies for Western audiences. Today, New Age facilitators lead astral projection workshops, reading Tibetan Bardo Thödol passages aloud to guide participants through simulated death and rebirth experiences. Even in hospitals, some chaplains quietly quote the papyrus of Ani's confessional declarations to help patients and families find dignity and ritual at life's end. On the academic side, digital platforms now host high-resolution scans of Gnostic codex leaves. You can zoom in on faded ink and watch scholars debate missing lines in real time. Universities offer Death and Beyond online courses, merging ancient afterlife guides with cutting-edge neuroscience and ethics. It's clear these secret texts aren't museum relics. They're living documents, constantly reimagined. But here's the kicker. People still yearn for the same core answers in every new iteration. So tell me, after thousands of years and countless reinterpretations, what are we searching for? So here's where we land. Whether you see the soul's path in papyrus ink or brainwaves, these afterlife roadmaps teach us something crucial about living right now. First, they remind us that stories and the rituals around them give our lives shape and comfort in the face of mystery. Second, if actions echo beyond the grave, every choice gains weight. Compassion, honesty, generosity. They're not just good deeds, they're soul craft. If your heart were weighed against a feather tomorrow, what would you wish you'd done differently today? Maybe try a quick life review. Jot down 3 moments you're proud of and 1 you'd redo. Or dive into that secret text that intrigued you. Read a chapter of the Bardo Thödol or browse an online scan of the Nag Hammadi codices. At the end of the day, exploring these ancient and modern visions doesn't just tell us where we might go. It shows us how to live with more purpose, here and now. Now, I want to hear from you. What takeaway resonates most? Drop your thoughts below before we jump into the outro. Thanks for sticking with me on this journey through hidden scrolls and brain scans. Your curiosity keeps us exploring the unknown. Which afterlife secret caught you off guard? Drop your thoughts below. I can't wait to read them. If you found this deep dive eye-opening, do me a quick favor and hit that like button, smash subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an adventure.